Hello, my name's Pam Slack, and normally you'll see me as the head of sixth form at ELA and also an English teacher. But like you, I'm also an ELA parent. I've got one son in the lower school and one son about to arrive in September. Recently, my son and I started talking about pathways and the subjects that he might pick once he gets into year 9. We're talking about it already because he knew it was something I was thinking about. And for some of us, the whole pathways process might seem a bit like this corridor full of doors. You don't know which way to turn. You don't know what it's going to be like. Now, I've been teaching for nearly 24 years, and you'd think that I should know a lot about this. But being an English teacher, my subject is compulsory, and I don't particularly have to focus on pathways because the students just carry on. So I decided I needed to find out a bit about it so that I'm prepared as a parent for my son's next step. We've all been through these different phases in life. We've done the potty training, the nursery, the choosing of the primary, SATs, don't want to repeat that one, choosing a secondary, and now here we are at GCSE options. As you can see from my slide, there's another 2 parts to go yet, and we've got to do it all again in 2 years' time and 4 years' time, after A-levels, etc. But this is the first point where they really get to think about, well, what do I want to do? Where am I going in life? And it's our job as parents to do our best to advise and to help. But we need to know enough about it too. And probably, since we were at school, things have changed quite considerably. Somebody once said to me, the thing to remember is these are not your options. We did ours. Whether it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we've been there, done that, and bought the t-shirt for that time appropriate. But I, for example, grew up in a completely different education system. Don't do GCSEs in Scotland, I did something called standard grades. And subjects have changed quite considerably. In the time I've been teaching, I think GCSE English has changed 4 times. So trying to keep up with all subjects is quite a challenge. But it doesn't matter if we ourselves at the moment feel a bit clueless about the subject. We can find out. Don't let your or my insecurities get in the way of what's best for our kids. And if we didn't take a subject, that doesn't matter. It's not a barrier to them taking it because their experience is different. They might enjoy different things than we do. I know, for example, my older son's thinking of taking geography. Well, I really didn't enjoy geography at school. I loved history. I still do. And part of me says, well, why doesn't he take history? But why should he? He's different. He's not me. And I just need to do my best as a parent to support him taking that different subject. Should my lack of knowledge or experience get in the way of him doing it and having a constructive conversation about it? No. But I probably need to find out some details about it. Some parents ask, well, what about vocational qualifications? And no, they're not the way they used to be. They are the same as GCSEs. They're worth the same. So it's not something to be prejudiced about or put off by. You've got to explore all options because there's so many choices now of pathways for our young people, far more than we had when we were at school. But you might be saying to yourself, well, I know nothing about GCSE geography or business studies. Well, my view is do my research. If I don't know something, I find it out. And this year's Pathways booklet is brilliant. It's full of information, lots of detail, lots of help. There's also going to be the staff video presentations which you can watch. And next week, for the first time, we're running Taster Week, which means that you can watch lessons online with your children to find out what it's like doing that particular subject. And every subject is open to every child, unless they haven't done a language before. That's the only one that isn't. But also you can email the staff. If there's things you don't know about, there's a staff member mentioned in the brochure for each subject. Just ask. Also, you could go online, find out about different specifications for subjects. Use again the brochure, it'll give you a link to the correct exam board. Another useful thing this year is Unifrog. Now, we've used this in sixth form for years, but lower school have got access to it this year, and I found as a mum it's a really helpful way to discuss subjects and career choices with my son. And it's helped him decide what he might like to do, and what subjects he might like to think about in the future. So ask your son or daughter to show you it. Get involved. It's really useful. Another handy website is UCAS. Yes, it's usually used for universities, but if they've got a particular career in mind, you might want to have a look at, well, what subjects might be involved if I wanted to do that at university, or for a higher level apprenticeship course. It's a useful site. There's lots of different things on it. Just have an explore. Another thing as a parent we might get is, well, what do you think about, Mum, Dad, this particular subject? And we probably talk to our parents about it. I vaguely remember a conversation I had with my mum when I was looking at the standard grade options as to whether I did food tech or secretarial studies. In the end, I went for secretarial studies because, as my mum said, at least I can learn to type, and as you go to university, I can type my essays. It has been very useful as a teacher, I must confess. I still enjoy the cooking though, and I love baking, and that's more a hobby. And I used to cater kids camps, so I got the food tech in as well later in life. Are your kids going to actually enjoy the subjects they pick? They've got to do it for 2 years, so they may as well enjoy it. It shouldn't be something that's a slog or a hardship. It should be something they're excited and passionate about. Are they choosing their best subjects? Are they good at them? Do they get a sense of satisfaction out of doing them? What about if somebody else taught the subject? I think all our kids have favourite teachers, people they really like, and some perhaps they're not so keen on. But should that stop them doing subjects that they enjoy? Have they got a variety of subjects, particularly if they don't know what they're going to do in the future? This is a really useful tool to help them think about, I could do this, I could do that, I could do the next thing. If it's broad, it doesn't matter, it's not limiting them. And have they asked all they want to find out about a subject? Particularly next week after Taster Week, if they've got subject questions, then they need to ask, and there'll be an opportunity in each of the lessons to put questions to the member of staff. Now, I know one of my kids is, but what if? And some of the things I thought my sons would come up with, well, what if my friend hasn't chosen it? Well, I know from my son's school experience that often they change classes every year anyway, through primary, and they're with different people in different classes. Just because one person isn't missing doesn't mean you won't make another friend. It's not a reason for not picking a particular subject you really enjoy. What if I change my mind? Well, that's the point with the tasters next week, is to try and help the children make a more informed decision. And there'll be older students coming as part of this week's assembly that they could talk to and ask advice. The main thing is they need to be informed, but also the first few weeks of any new course, like any job as an adult, require a bit of resilience. Sometimes it might not be quite what they thought it was going to be, and they've got to overcome that hurdle. What if I don't like the teacher? Relationships take time. We know that in the workplace. And perhaps one of our roles as parents is to try and help them overcome that barrier, so that they learn that perhaps you might not get on with everybody as much as you want, but you've still got to work with them and do your best. There may still be some of you who are worried about the new grading system. It is different to what we did at school. It's very different to what I did. But this table I found on Career Pilot I thought was a really good tool to help you understand it. Obviously, most employers will say they need at least a level 4 pass in English language and in maths. Some will expect a grade 5, which is a good pass, and anybody going on to higher education will generally need 5s and above. If the student doesn't achieve a grade 4 in English and maths, then they will have to resit them. So it's a great idea to try and encourage them as much as you can to get over that line, get their passes so they can go on to do what they want to do, post 16 and post 18. Just to close, I found this quite useful. There's a whole list of websites here that I used when I was thinking about helping my sons make these kind of choices. The Career Pilot one I think is the best. It's got loads of useful advice and it's really easy to access as a parent. Thank you for listening and I hope this has helped you.